Welcome to the Young Entrepreneur's Journey with your host, Yasmina Ellins.
Welcome to the Young Entrepreneur's Journey, where we take the skills, mindset, and attitude needed to achieve any entrepreneurial endeavor, whether you're just starting out or you're already on your journey. And now, our host, Yasmina Ellins.
You are here today because you are on the journey to earn your financial freedom doing what you love. Now, today I'm speaking to Cole Humphus, who was able to earn his financial freedom 5 years after leaving his corporate job. He grew an online photography education company called Cole's Classroom with only a $49 a month program to 10,000 members. Sound cool? It gets cooler. If you do the maths on that, that's a whopping $5.8 million a year, which is no joke. Cole sold his company 18 months ago and then went into semi-retirement. Now he was coming back out of semi-retirement so that he can help others scale their business without having to rely on big teams and social media. Cole is also a well-known member of the notorious War Room Mastermind, which is a high-level mastermind for which you need a 7-figure business to qualify to join. By the end of this interview, you will gain insight into how to scale your business without relying on social media. You will have the mindset that you need to build a successful business, and you will feel that you too can earn your financial freedom doing what you love. Thank you so much for coming on today, Cole. It's an absolute pleasure.
Hey, just happy to be here. And I got to say, I got to do more podcasts because my favorite part is hearing everyone's intro about me. It's like I'm learning stuff about myself. Every time I'm learning stuff about myself. It's great.
It's really cool to hear nice things about you, isn't it?
It is. I know.
Awesome.
I told someone on the last podcast today, I said, man, that was such a good intro. I said, I'm going to have you come on and intro me on my webinar whenever I start selling, my next product on the webinar. So I think
Hell yeah, that sounds like an awesome job.
Yeah.
So my first question for you, Cole, is what originally got you onto your entrepreneurial journey?
Oh, that's a great question. And I got to also say, for anyone who's listening, none of this is scripted. And I say that because it's fun for me to hear the questions that I get asked. That's a really good question. So basically what happened was I had graduated with a finance degree and I was working in corporate finance and I was a cost estimator for the US government. We gave proposals to the government. So I wasn't a government employee, but I was in the defense contracting industry. And luckily, I got really good at spreadsheets because that served me well into the future scaling the business. But essentially what happened was, honestly, Yasmina, was so organic. And what I mean by that is even way back when I didn't know I was an entrepreneur, but I was teaching like guitar lessons when I was 16 years old, for $30 an hour. And it wasn't like I was scaling that, but it was money I was making on the side. And before that, I ran a music website that one day landed in my lap. That was the person who had the website, which was called sandiegopunk.com, all about the punk rock scene out here. They just didn't want to do it anymore, but they had a couple people that advertised. So I took it over and then I went out crazy and I got way more advertisers. So looking back, I know that I always had that entrepreneurial spirit, but essentially what happened was one day at lunchtime at the day job, my buddies and I were talking and we just always would sort of go back and forth with different business ideas. We had this, I think, dream of one day not working for the man, and doing our own thing. And one day, one of my friends said, hey, my wife is quitting her job and she's going to become a wedding coordinator. And I was like, and back then this was in 2008. So there was a big recession going on. I said, oh, that's smart because people are still going to get married even in a recession. And then I said, I have some friends that were wedding photographers on the side. And he said, yeah, I got a friend who's killing it with weddings too. And I said, man, I should be a wedding photographer. And I did. I literally went back to my desk and I started researching cameras. And I think a day or two later, bought myself a camera and literally decided that I was going to become a wedding photographer. And I fell in love with having my own business. It was fun taking pictures of people. We met a lot of great friends, had a lot of great clients, and made we were taking $50,000 to $75,000 extra a year. But I really fell in love with, I think, the challenge of trying to just build a bigger and better business, which obviously later on transpired into going online with that too.
It's really awesome because it sounds like you had that entrepreneurial spirit within you for a while. And then when the right time came along, it just unleashed, which is really cool.
Yeah.
And the question that I have is wedding photographer, awesome. When most people think wedding photographer, they don't think, wow, this is going to make me rich, right? They
Right.
think,
Right.
oh, this is fun, this is cute, I can make a decent living, I can do something I enjoy. So, how did you take that passion of photography and turn that into money?
Yeah. Well, another great question. And I mean, I think, when I look back, the plan was never that weddings were going to be the thing to make us rich. We didn't even have a plan to make us rich, back then. And I think it's important to say that because looking back, I can say like, now I've sold over $13.6 million worth of stuff online. But looking back, it's so awesome to be able to see like all the little doors that I opened that then led to the next thing. And back then, the decision was not doing weddings to get rich. The decision was this would be really great side income. So it was all about the side hustle because I was working at the time when I first started, I was only making about, oh, geez. I mean, like $55,000 to $60,000 a year. So that was my full-time job out of college. My wife was making less, at the time, girlfriend, but we were living together. So she was making, I think, like 45 grand. So we had sort of 100K, give or take, on our full-time jobs. So, weddings were this sort of the cherry on top, right? That was like, wow, if we can make an extra $40,000 a year, or then it was 50, then it was 70, whatever. So yeah, and it was perfect for that. It was great. It was literally great. And that gave us a level of freedom that we didn't have. It wasn't that we were taking that money and then going and blowing it on, silly things, but it soon became the thing that let us then sell the existing house and go buy an upgraded house. And then going from having to worry about or be more money conscious with where we went for vacation to, no, it's okay. Like we can go to Bora Bora kind of thing. And that sort of came later, but that did happen. Like when we went to Bora Bora, we wanted to go for a honeymoon, but we didn't go because back then we couldn't afford it. Well, later on we did. So yeah, I think it's just important to like always like think about the steps that you need to take today that will open up a much brighter future for you later.
Definitely. I think, isn't the standard saying to become a millionaire, you need 7 streams of income or something like that? I feel like that's the standard saying. So as soon as you can build extra things and have an extra thing that is working for you, it opens up so many more opportunities because the reality is many people have more free time than they think. They just
Yeah.
spend it on the wrong things.
Yeah.
But
Get
you
off
were
of
spending
Netflix, get off of scrolling Instagram.
Exactly. But you were spending it on this wedding photography business. So if I understand correctly, you dipped from your corporate job when you had 150K in entrepreneurial income. Is that right?
Was the question when I quit?
Yeah, when you quit. If I
Yeah.
remember correctly, you had a significant amount of money
Right.
before you quit your job, which leads me to the question of how do you recommend that people who want to become entrepreneurs but have a stable job, how do you recommend they go about leaving their job? Because some people kind of just quit and don't have anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then some people
That's
are more strategic like you.
right. Yeah. So I mean, what actually happened was we juggled both the day jobs. We juggled the day jobs and the weddings for, oh geez, we did both for so long. I'm talking. I mean, we didn't quit our day jobs until 2015, and we first started doing weddings in 2009. So we did literally 6 years of side hustling, you know, and basically what happened was I launched Cole's Classroom in 2013. because I decided that I wanted to, well, like everyone, you just think that online is like easy money. Like, I think that's like one of the biggest like, oh shit moments that most people have is like, oh, everyone's killing it online. I'm just going to like make a course and people are going to buy it forever and I'm going to be rich. And I didn't necessarily think that, but I did think that if I worked hard, it would pay off. What I underestimated was with online, it is so hard to ever be seen that you can work your butt off for years and still have nobody know who the hell you are. And, that became the thing that propelled me, was cracking that code and realizing what I'm doing is not the best way of doing it. So let's try something new. But to answer the question, we juggled the jobs forever. It felt like forever too. And we were happy to do it because we didn't ever know that there was this other path. Once we had Cole's Classroom and I started making money from it, the first year that we tried to make money, we made $135,000. So so we had basically 60 or so thousand, give or take, from weddings. We had 135 from Cole's Classroom, and then we had our day job income. So we were doing okay at that point. All in all, it was somewhere between 250 to 300. And then we were finally burned out. We're like, all right, like the day job's got to go. And the goal was to take Cole's Classroom and literally, and we were still going to do weddings, by the way, but the goal was if we can turn Cole's Classroom and go from 135K to 250K, that'd be perfect. And then we turned it to 1.5 million that year. So it worked out. And I learned a big lesson about betting on yourself, working smart, not hard, and really how big the online world really can be.
Yeah, I think one of the incredible things in business is thinking not linearly, but exponentially. Like, how can I take what I have and grow it exponentially? How can I accomplish my 10-year goals in 6 months? Those kinds of ideas, right? And so I'd love to hear that journey of you quit the day job, you have the 100 or so K, you're doing well, and then the same year you go out to 1.5 million. How did that happen?
Yeah, well, I mean, in the simplest way, this isn't as good for storytelling, but in the simplest way, I learned how to advertise. I was and that's the biggest reason why, it's the biggest reason why I've been as successful as I have, is becoming really, really, really good at converting strangers who don't know me and converting them into a lead and then a customer. Bar none. That is many times you'll hear people talk about, like, I think like, well, the number one, like probably one of the most highest paid professions is like in sales, right? Salesmen, like selling almost anything. Like if you can sell good, then you can make a lot of money. Well, and the problem is for a lot of people, they hate selling and they don't know how to sell good. And all they want to do is they want to build a product and then just like expect this like windfall of customers to fall on their doorstep. And that just doesn't work that way. So, literally how it happened, and you're right, exponential growth. Like it happened. I went to a conference in San Diego called the Traffic and Conversion Summit, which many people may have. It's a very big conference, right? And it was hosted by Ryan Dyson, digital marketer. Went there, and it just so happened I was quitting my job like 2 weeks later. That was already like on the books. And Ryan said something on stage. I never knew Ryan until now. And he said something on stage that I'll never forget, which was essentially, people always come to me and say, Ryan, I have a traffic problem. How do I get more traffic? And there's no such thing as a traffic problem, because you just go to the traffic store and you buy it. And the traffic store was Google and Facebook and YouTube, and of course there's more places to go buy traffic now, Pinterest, TikTok. I don't have a TikTok profile, but you get the idea. And I just, right then it clicked. I was like, what am I doing? Spending all my time trying to like just make these free YouTube videos. What am I doing? Spending all my time writing these free blog posts and hoping that people are going to show up one day. I already like knew a thing or two about, how to make a good sales page. And I was already studying copywriting, and I'm a math guy. So I already knew what percentage of people that hit the page bought. So I literally in my head right then knew, if I can just get good at getting traffic cheaper than how much they're worth, then it's game on. And I did that. And it was simple. I mean, it was like, looking back, it was so simple. And I wish it was that simple these days. It's not, because it's not 2015 anymore and ad costs have gone up. But, it was literally as simple as I became laser focused about converting traffic into profits. And I didn't mess around with any kind of launch stuff. Didn't mess around with, you got to do this formal launch and you got to have affiliates. I tried affiliates. None of that crap worked. I mean, yeah, it worked to make a couple grand, but that's not exponential. That's not needle moving growth. What's needle moving growth is when I was going and spending $30 a day on ads to just try it. I'm like, hey, we're profitable still. Let me go and try $100 a day. We're still profitable. Let me try 200 a day, and then 500, and then 1,000. And then at the height, I was spending $5,000 and $6,000 a day on ads, which is crazy, but it was profitable the entire time.
Definitely. That's really powerful. That's really, really powerful, Cole. And I'm curious to know, through that journey of buying traffic and spending money on ads, because as we know, it's quite obvious, like, you have a high quality product, no one knows about it, you're not going to make any money. What is the number one piece of advice that you can give to people who are looking to grow their business in that way through buying traffic? And what are some mistakes that people commonly make that can be avoided?
Well, let's start with the number one thing. And the number one thing that people, they have to appreciate conversions and getting really good at converting people. And what I mean by that is, conversion is a big idea, right? There's copywriting, there's sales page optimization, there's order form optimization, there's split testing, there's all these things. There's getting better at email marketing. You have to end up getting really good at identifying. Well, first you have to be really good at knowing how to get people to take action, how to sell online. Too many people, they fall into the trap of they just want to be the creative. They just want to be the creator. They just want to hire it out. And you can go and hire an agency to go run traffic for you. That's the easy part, though. They aren't the ones who are ever going to give a shit about your money as much as you will. So right away, you have to understand and appreciate that creating the ads is just one part of the puzzle. And that's the easiest part. Getting what happens once they click from the ad, that's in your court. You have to get really good. It comes down to having a good offer, not just a good product, but a good offer that gets people excited. Gets them a reason to take action. So many people, they have a good product, they'll even drive a good ad to it. But if there's not a good reason for that person to pull out their wallet, they won't. You think about it this way. On cold traffic, obviously depends on price point, but let's just say that 2%, it's really probably more like 1%, but like 2% of a conversion rate on a sales page is probably like average. If you're just driving traffic, right? That means 98% of people that saw your thing didn't take action. How much waste is that? Now, it doesn't mean that working with somebody like me can now get you to 10%, but imagine if you were able to just, in your words earlier, exponentially increase the result by maybe we can identify a lot of people getting the order form, but then they fall off. And maybe we can try a few things. We change the headline, we add a money back guarantee. Maybe you didn't have that. Maybe you add PayPal, you're only doing credit card, all these things. And so maybe that's one fix you make. And then we make some other tweaks and have a better headline on the sales page. And then maybe you go from converting 2% of your traffic to 4%. If you did that, you literally cut your ad cost in half and you doubled your business profits. And you didn't have to change anything on your product at all. Now you go and you add new products, you raise prices, you do these other things. Guess what? You can maybe double the business again. So this is what I'm saying. Like, I'm obviously passionate about it. I was a nobody. I was no influencer. Still am not. Most people don't know me. They only know me if they've been in my circle, and most people aren't in my circle because I never was running ads to me standing in the garage with a bunch of fancy cars and books. Not that I have anything against Ty. I've watched all his stuff. I'm sure he's a super nice guy. And then the list goes on, right? How many fancy car guru people do we need that make it everyone seem it's easy? It's not easy. It's not easy at all. They might want, if they have a social media agency, they might want you to think it's easy because they want your business. But people need to appreciate that there's no such thing as easy money online. And the real skill comes down to taking action, because most people are afraid to take action. So you have to be able to do it, do some work, and then you have to get good at optimizing the conversions. And that's exactly why, I coach other people on conversion coaching, because it's everywhere. People, I think that conversion coaching is only when you're doing a launch, or maybe your emails. No, it's everywhere. When you're posting on social media, you need to learn how to get people to take action. When you're making a YouTube video, you need to learn how to get people to take action. If you're hosting a podcast, there's always the next thing that you need them to do, because it takes a lot of yeses and micro commitments before somebody actually wants to do business with you.
Yeah, really powerful stuff. And I think it's interesting because you help people scale their business without needing big teams or social media. And that sounds like it's that, because I think a lot of people go into the entrepreneurship space thinking, oh God, now I need to get on Instagram. Now I need to become an influencer. Now I need to do all this and that. When people miss this whole other side of business that actually often works better. So I'm curious to know, because you talk about a lot about, telling people how they can take action, right? And creating an ad. What makes a compelling ad, or what makes a compelling kind of post that gets someone to take action? And what makes a compelling offer?
Well, I mean, a general framework that I think always works well, whether it's an organic post or an ad or anything, is I always like to start off with kind of like, if I'm writing an ad as opposed to like an organic post, one framework that we'll always use is we'll start off with sort of like calling out who, right? So like we want to like cut through the noise and be like, hey, online, business coaches. That's just an example. Obviously, I used to be teaching photography stuff. So attention, newborn photographers or whatever. Attention, new parents. Attention, calling anyone who's ready to lose, then finally get off the 5 pounds. Obviously some of the stuff you probably wouldn't get approved through Facebook and all that, but you get the point. So it starts off with sort of a call out. And then I always like to use a question, because I want to get them to stop and read the rest. So, if it was photography, just because I've done literally probably over 10,000 ads for photographers, it's sort of like, I always like to ask a question that references a challenge they have or the desired end result they want. So, I could ask the same thing 2 different ways. So let's say somebody wants to learn how to take better photos with their camera. One of their sort of pain points is they're tired of shooting on auto mode, or they're tired of their photos being blurry of their kids. The inverse of that is what they really want is super sharp photos. They want, memories that are captured, photos that are capturing the moment rather than it being a throwaway picture. So I have a few different options, even if the call out was the same. Attention, newborn, child photographers. Are you ready to start, taking crystal clear, sharp photos? ? That gets them to stop. If I want to do, that's sort of desired result. If I wanted to do challenge, aren't you sick and tired of taking a picture of your kids in the perfect moment, and you blew the shot and the moment's gone and you're left with a throwaway blurry photo? ? If so, keep reading, right? So like from an ad perspective, that formula always works good. Call out who you're talking to, question them to get them to stop and read more. And then, then it's everything. It doesn't matter if I'm doing a webinar, I might say, hey, if so, you're in luck, because today I have this free 18-minute webinar and it's going to show you how to do, you're going to leave knowing how to do boom, boom, boom. You can insert then some testimonials, obviously always call to action, click here to go and save your seat, done. So is that helpful?
It is. It's really interesting to hear you break everything down like that.
Yeah.
And on the spot.
Yeah.
No pressure there. But I think I think it's super interesting as well because you need to know your target market inside out.
Mm-hmm.
You need to understand what are their challenges, what are their pain points, what are their fears, what are their dreams.
Yeah. And it's super hard. I mean, it's like everyone thinks they know, but then they don't. And I will say here's a little bonus trick is like, there's so many people that I work with, and it's like, we're trying to figure these things out, and they might have like literally 400,000 people that follow them on Instagram, and they're trying to go from being like the organic social media hustle to like building a real business that actually grows every single day. And we're trying to figure that out. Like, what are their main challenges? What are their things, And I'm like, well, have you just asked them? Well, no. I'm like, well, freaking email your list and ask them, and one of the secrets to our success was we always just asked them. And we had enough members in our Facebook group. We would quit doing even surveys. Screw the survey. I would literally, if we were going to go and create a new product before I would just literally post in the Facebook group and be like, hey, we're thinking about doing an in-person workshop in San Diego. It would be middle of March, and it would be about somewhere in this range of price point. Here's what we would cover. Comment below if this is something you'd be interested in. Just ask them, like, and if it was crickets and nobody was interested, screw it. We ain't gonna waste our time. If everyone's like, oh my God, that'd be amazing, perfect, you just pre-sold everyone. Literally, you could just go back and be like, hey, Yasmina, good news, it's available. Here's the link. Go buy. And like, isn't that a better way to launch products than like spend all this time and money to make these perfect video production series and then, and do a challenge and all this crap? People make shit way too hard. I'm telling you. And it's my mission now to change that, because it doesn't have to be that hard. It's as simple as go get traffic. You need eyeballs, and you need to get them to become a lead, unless you can get them going right to a customer, and then they become customers. So the real challenge is, it begs the question. I was thinking of this driving home from the gym today. We all would believe, there's no one out here that could listen to me that wouldn't agree with that. We need eyeballs. We need views. And so we need traffic, that we need to convert them into leads and customers, period. So if that's true, which it is, then the only question becomes, how can you go ahead and get the traffic as cheap as possible? And how can you raise your conversion to as high as possible? And then, of course, within there's all these different strategies and tactics. But everyone gets fixated on the tactic. They all think that, well, if I just do this thing, that's going to work. But if you don't have those other pieces, you're screwed.
Yeah, so interesting. Everyone is so obsessed with tactics nowadays, and they forget that every building is built on a strong foundation.
That's right. And it's because you got too many gurus out there that are online trying to sell the tactic, because trust me, it's easier to sell the quick fix. The problem is more times than not, the quick fix doesn't solve the real problem. I even did this in the photography business. Our most popular things that we sold were Lightroom presets, which is basically a filter, except for professional photographers, right? So in one click, they can change the look of their photo. They love it. They couldn't get enough. I started to feel bad we were selling so many of them, because that wasn't making them take a better photo, but they still were buying the shit out of them because they thought that was all they needed. It's a lot harder to sell transformation. That's why I would still love to lose 5 and 10 pounds. That takes hard work. There is no quick fix for these things.
Definitely. And people don't want to hear it because they don't want to put in the work. And so they buy the Band-Aid instead of trying to treat the root cause of the problem.
Yeah.
Super interesting.
It is.
So you sold your business.
Yep.
And I'd love to know, how can you sell your business effectively? How can you sell your business in the right way? What does a good deal look like?
Well, it starts with understanding why somebody should buy you. And what I look for if I'm partnering with somebody or if I'm looking to acquire business, and also the same reasons that I was able to sell the business. It's you have to have your leads, once again, leads and customers on autopilot. Like, like we need history. We don't want like, hey, I had a good launch. Now I'm going to sell the business, right? So like we need to see predictability, scalability, that you can rely on the data. So if you're when you go from being a product creator to now a online business owner, and you have multiple products that people are buying, not just one, because that's not good, right? Nobody's going to want to buy you if you got one thing that people are buying, and nobody's going to want to buy you if you only are making money from hustling on social media. Like, you have to remove yourself from the business first and foremost. So it's okay that you can actually sell an information business like I did, but it was because I removed myself from the operations, but I also removed myself from the selling. So I was no longer the product. So to sum it all up, the biggest sort of takeaways are, you have to get your sales on autopilot. You have to have systems in place that every day you're able to, that you can go and spend $100 on ads, and it's going to bring in X number of leads, and X percentage of those are going to become customers. And more importantly, you're going to make more than the $100 it costs you to get them. So, you need to be able to turn, once again, ad dollars and marketing expenses into profits, and do it in a predictable way. You need to also get yourself out of the equation. So you need to have a team so that you can literally go on vacation for 2 weeks and the business is just fine. If you want to test and see if your business can survive without you, literally turn off Slack, get rid of all that crap, and disappear for 2 weeks and see what happens. Trust me, even when I thought that we had it under control, you still have people that you don't even realize, but they're coming to you for the answers. So when you're in town, you might think, oh, my shit's on autopilot, man. Like, I'm good. And then all of a sudden it's like 3 times a day, you have someone on your team that's going, hey, Cole, like, I need help. Like, here's this the ad quit converting. What should I do? Like, oh, crap. Okay, I need to teach that person so they don't have to come to me. So really, those are the biggies. I mean, if you can do all that, which is part of the reason why I started the Rapid Scale System program, is to get people out of the equation, get them out of the one that all the sales and all the marketing rely on, because then you actually can build something that can scale. You will end up making way more money with way less time, so you get more freedom. And what that lets you do is you have the option to sell if you want. Because if I didn't sell the company, it was fine. I was working only like 3 hours a day, making like $400K a month. Like, it was great. The fact that I was able to sell was only because I put in all those systems in place.
Definitely. Yeah. So bullet point summary is remove yourself from the business and create something that can scale. It's super interesting, and 100% you clearly know your stuff when it comes to that. Your rapid scale system sounds awesome.
Yeah.
One thing I would love to ask, I would love to talk a bit more about you. And I would like to know, so you're a part of the War Room Mastermind.
Yep.
And I'm wondering, in your opinion, what is the value of being a part of a high-level group like that?
Yeah, that's great. I mean, I think I'll start by saying something a little different, which is, looking back on my success, I've been thinking about this a lot since I'm now coaching other people and helping them grow theirs. And I'm just trying to like always connect the dots. Like, okay, so what is it? And is there really a true shortcut to success? And I think there is. And it comes down to 3 things. And it comes up with, earlier you said, like, not the Band-Aid, like building the right foundation. So step number 1 is creating the business with the right strategies. And I don't mean marketing strategies. I mean like business principles, business model, the right strategy, the right products that you're going to sell, so that you actually can afford to go ahead and scale with ads. There's so many people that come to me and they're like, okay, I'm ready to scale. And I'm like, what do you do? And they're like, oh, I got this $19 a month program. I'm like, what else do you got? They're like, that's it. I'm like, you're screwed. What do you mean? I'm like, you're going to have to spend $2 a click on ads. Like literally, if that's all you have, like you're lucky if you break even on month 4, maybe. Yeah, and then if they only stay 5 or 6 months, like there's nothing, so too many people go right into building the product and they skip the whole stage of, am I building the foundation that will allow me to scale? So that's step 1. Step 2 is you have to take rapid action. Too many people, they aren't action takers, right? They want the quick fix. They want the magic bullet. We all know that's not there, right? And then the third thing is access to people who've done it before. Access to mentors, to experts, to consultants, to whatever, masterminds. And when you think of those 3 things, you realize that you need all 3 if you want the shortcut to success, right? Because if you only have one of those 3, it won't work. If you can have the access to the smartest people in the world, but if you don't have the right strategy and the foundation, you can't scale. And you can have the strategy and the mentorship, but if you don't take action, so you need all 3. So, when I look back on the 5 years of being in the War Room, and, for me personally, the biggest, and just to be clear, this was cool. I did this exercise just an hour ago. So 5 years of War Room, the price that I paid, it's a lot more money than it is now, but it was $25,000 a year. So 5 years, 5 times that, it's $125,000. When I joined the War Room, I had a total of 1.6 million in sales, the 1.5 plus the 100 whatever before. Was it worth it? Well, now I've sold over 13 million. So if you want to, when you look at the ROI of that, it's like, now, does that mean that everything does that mean that 100% of War Room gave me those results? No, because I had to take action, but I had somewhere to go to continue to get the right strategy. I had somewhere to go to continue to have mentorship and get guidance. And then it was on me to take action. So when you had all 3 of those, was it worth it? Of course. So, for me though, if I were to say one thing that War Room has been the most, I think, helpful, it's by having access to the people who've done it, it automatically makes you think bigger. I can't tell you how many times I expected, or I cut myself short and I kept beating my goals. Back in the beginning, man, maybe I can get it to 250K, 1.5 million. Oh my God, I never thought I'd have $1 million in sales. Then we had, then we went to 3 million, and then we went and kept growing, and never thought I was going to sell a company. Did that too. So, I think the biggest benefit you get when you surround yourself with people who've been there and done that is 2 things. Number 1, it's simply having somewhere to go to get answers, because you can't go to Google and YouTube to get your answers anymore. Period. Like there's a place for that. Like if you need to learn how to create a Facebook ad, you can go and find that for free. If you need to find out how to go and launch a product, you can do that. How to create a course, you can do all that. How to use ClickFunnels. But there's nowhere to go when you're like, what's the best way to go and like build out my team? Like when you start growing, you have these other kinds of problems. So number 1, it's having somewhere to go for help. Number 2, it is thinking bigger and realizing and to continue to push yourself higher.
I mean, talk about return on investment, right? It's just like when you see that, it's clearly a no-brainer. And I think that the incredible thing about surrounding yourself with people who have had more success than you is that you'll have a problem and you think like, I can only get to this. And then as you say, they come along and they completely shatter all of those limiting beliefs that you had, that you didn't even realize that they were limiting beliefs. And they're like, it's like Aladdin showing Jasmine the world. Like, look, there's a whole new world that you weren't aware of. That's pretty incredible.
Yeah. One thing that I want to point out is like, the irony is I was always the DIY guy. I just always like scrapped and did it myself for a long time, without paying for courses, and a big reason why is because I wanted to learn it first. Another reason was way back when I started, I was cheap, for lack of better words. I didn't want to pay for this. And then one day I realized, I was hiking and I was like, this is stupid. From now on, if there's a tool or course or someone who I could pay that'll get me the result faster or get me a result that's easier, then do it, because that's the right thing to do. But what I was going to say is, when people ask me about back when I was, part of War Room, I still am, but like, we don't have these in-person events anymore. But like, I used to go and I'd be on the panel and people come up like, "Hey, Cole, I'm thinking about joining. Is it worth it?" And here's what I'd say. Obviously, we know a big part of being successful is taking action. The thing is like, if you're in a mastermind, or if you're a client of mine in Rapid Scale System or whatever, like, ultimately it comes down to you. Like, I can give you the roadmap. It's up to you to implement it. I can tell you what I would do. It's up to you to go ahead and do it. And what I would say though, and I used to think this when I was in War Room, is like, okay, $25,000 a year. If every single War Room event I go to, I come back with 2 pages of notes, which I'd have at least 2 pages of notes. If I can't get at least $25,000 of extra business, then I literally wasn't trying. Like, think about all the things that you learn. Even if you just implemented just that much of it, if you don't think that you can get a return on that little tiny money over the course of a year, then you didn't try hard enough.
Wow. Definitely. It's so powerful having those mentors around you who can guide you. And
Right.
literally a 2-minute conversation can change the whole direction of your life.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
just 2 minutes of someone saying one little thing, you're like, oh, and then you just go into a completely different direction. It's one of the most incredible things I've ever witnessed.
Mhm.
I'm curious, Cole, do you have any mindsets or habits or rituals that set you up for success in life?
Formally, no. Well, I guess sort of. I guess I not rituals. I think my frame of mind is what is the biggest difference that I now have learned. I'm different than many others. One of them, so I'll share a few things that come to mind. One of them is just literally being fearless when it comes to just trying shit online. Just, there's so many people that hold themselves back on anything, hold themselves back on implementing because they're afraid it might not work, or from trying a different ad strategy because it may not work, or trying, so like, for us, having the mindset of every single day, I guess this is the best way of saying it. The reason why I was able to do what I did is because not only was I willing to take action, not only did I surround myself with smart people, but most importantly, every single day I woke up with the idea to make the business just a little bit better. Just a little bit. I literally was like, I wouldn't wake up the night before with it all written down. I'm not a big planner like that. I would just wake up and be like, all right, let me take inventory where we're at today and see what needs to change. And just like I said earlier, conversion. Like, okay, if I can just go ahead and drop our ad cost on this webinar registration from $4 per sign up to $3, then that's going to do this, So I found myself always, I think one of the keys to my success was always asking questions and literally asking why. Question everything. Why and how? Why am I getting this result and how can I make it better? Why are people only staying in the membership for 5 months? How can I get them to stay an extra month? What will happen to our business if I can get them to increase, if I can get an extra $100 of lifetime value out of them? All of these questions. And most people, they don't do that. I don't think. Most people, I think they're just like, I got a product. Nobody's really buying. I don't know why, but One day I'm sure it'll change because people tell me if I keep working at it, it'll work its way out.
Yeah, definitely. I think every single time you ask the question why, it's like everyone is on the surface, then you ask why and you go a layer deeper.
Yeah. And
And then
that's
you
great
ask
for
why the
copywriting, which I know you're talking about. Like, yeah, everyone, it's like, I'm like, hey, tell me about your program. They're like, well, they get this and they get this and they get this. I'm like, well, why should they care about that? Well, because this. But why is that important to them? Well, because of this. We used to do that exercise with like photography, and ultimately the reason why somebody maybe never picks up their camera anymore, it's not because they start off by saying, they're a photographer because they like capturing snapshots in time. All right, cool. Like join the club, well, why is that important to you? Why is that important to you? Why does that matter? And then suddenly they're like, well, I just hit once I had my own kids, I looked back at my own pictures that my mom had taken me and I have none. And that hurts me deeply. And I don't want my kids to grow up never seeing all these cool moments and these experiences that we did for them. Now that would sell really good on an ad, right? So yeah, I mean, it works both ways. Asking a lot of questions helps you more intimately understand where to focus and what to change in the business. And it also, on a conversion side, helps people get to a deeper emotional trigger that also helps the conversion.
100% wins all the way around. And I think the thing that you were saying about making things a little bit better every day is also so powerful. If you can get 1% better every day, like those incremental gains compound massively over time. So that's also a really cool philosophy.
Yeah.
Before I ask you my final question, I'd love to know, what was semi-retirement like? That sounds fun.
Well, I'm still semi-retired. That's the beauty, is like, I say semi-retired because I don't have to work. I'm doing it because I enjoy doing it. I still wake up every single day thinking about business, and I launched Rapid Scale System because I realized that I have a gift that a lot of people don't have naturally, and it would literally do the world injustice if I didn't help more people have at least a sliver of the success that I did. And for me, as awesome as it is to help 10,000 photographers, and we've helped more than that, but even our members, right, take better photos, to me, there's nothing that's more impactful and purposeful than if I can take somebody who has expertise, they've been doing it, they've kind of hit a plateau, and if I can unlock that plateau for them and get them to an entirely new level of financial freedom and impact, that makes me feel better than anything. So semi-retirement and continuing to work, it's for reasons of purpose, it's for reasons of impact, it's for reasons of additional cash, but it's also it's really to keep my mind stimulated, right? And it's also part of the larger plan for me. I mean, I want to continue to be an entrepreneur. I want to continue to grow businesses. And I know that when I work with people and people get results, they want to continue to work with me. And that will down the line translate to equity deals and having ownership in different businesses that I'm a part of growing. So other than that, though, I mean, a typical week for me looks like I try and go. I mean, well, a typical day is, I work out and then I come home and my little toddler, who's 3.5 years old, she yells for me from the room in this really cute voice. And she just goes, "Daddy, Daddy." And then I know it's time for me to go get her out of bed. And then I make her breakfast and we hang out and watch TV, to watch a movie together or something. Today I made her pancakes. And then I go and work for a few hours with whatever the heck I want to do. Then we all eat lunch together with the family. And then when the baby goes to sleep, the babies, I should say, then my wife and I hang out for a couple hours. Then we have dinner, and I usually cook dinner. We wind down. And then once a week, I try and go fishing with my dad. So life's good. And then the only other thing in there is, with the Rapid Scale System, I'm which is now new, meaning we launched it about 45 days ago. It's going great. So then I'm just available for doing cool things like this podcast and just sharing my knowledge. It's what I enjoy. And of course, being there to work with my clients and help them get unstuck. So I honestly couldn't ask for a better life. It's just the right amount of freedom, and it's just the right amount of sort of mental stimulation and a whole lot of free time for the family and hanging out.
That's awesome. It's pretty incredible when you can get to that stage where you wake up and you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
And if you want to work, you can work. If you don't want to work, you don't have to work, which is a pretty incredible thing. So that sounds awesome. And I'm so excited to see you help so many other people get to that place in life as well.
Oh, thank
you. So my
you.
final question for you, Cole, is what are 3 key truths about the entrepreneurial journey that you would share with a young entrepreneur today?
Oh, geez, this is probably the hardest question. I mean, I'll just go off the top of my head and hopefully we can get to 3. I think a truth, one of them is it's not easy. I think another one is it's worth it. And the other is it can become very easy once you really understand your customers' pain points and their challenges and where they want to go, and you can create products and services that match those needs.
Short but sweet. Very powerful stuff.
Awesome.
So now is your time to plug anything you'd like to plug, and where can people find you?
Yeah, I don't got much to plug here other than to say if you anyone who's already selling some stuff online and wants a helping hand to break through the plateau, definitely go and hang out with us and learn more at the rapidscalesystem.com. And if you want to go ahead and read more about me and a lot of the articles that I'm writing and stuff, you can go to rapidscalegroup.com. And the best way to get connected with me is to make sure to join the email list, but also to message me on Facebook or Instagram. So I'll make sure that, Yasmina, I know you'll have probably links for them to click and all that. But yeah, I'd love to chat with anyone who's a listener here.
Awesome. I'll put that whole shebang in the show notes. And thank you so much for coming on, Cole. It was an absolute pleasure.
Yeah, likewise. Have a great day.
You too.